Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar today. My name is Clarissa, and I am representing the Research in Germany initiative executed by the German Academic Exchange Service and funded by the Federal Ministry of Education and Research, and will be today's moderator. In the background, my colleague Inji Nafi will be assisting with the Q&A box moderation and technical support.
Yes, also hello from my side. I am Inji and I'm also part of the Research in Germany team. And we're very excited and so grateful for everyone being part of today's session. And why are we here today? Well, today marks the kickoff event of our new series, Meet Your Future You. Our research indicates that one of the best ways to share information is through individuals who have already navigated this journey and can provide first-hand insights into both the advantages and challenges from an international perspective. This format will be further developed to meet your wishes, and we plan to have more topic and region focused online events within this series. So stay tuned. And therefore, your feedback at the end of today's session will be very valuable and highly appreciated. And we are very fortunate to have experienced scholars who have successfully made this journey, their PhD or postdocs, and established themselves in their home countries and in Germany. But before we get to meet them and to ensure to have a smooth and interactive session, I would like to hand over the mic back to Clarissa. Clarissa, the floor is yours.
Yes. Thank you. I would like to familiarize you with the key features of Microsoft Teams webinars. Yes. So we have a brief overview for you. If you have questions during the presentation, please do not use the raise hand feature. Please only use this feature at the end during our Q&A session. And for the questions that you would like to address during the dedicated Q&A session at the end, please use the Q&A box only. The chat box is used to be for technical issues throughout the webinar, and you can use reactions to engage with the presentation without interrupting at any time. As mentioned and agreed upon during the registration process, we are recording the event. The recording will be accessible on our website to all participants after the session. Last but not least, please ensure your microphones are muted and your cameras are switched off when you're speaking to avoid background noise. Once again, thank you for your participation, and I'm very much looking forward to an interesting session. The time is short, so let's make the best of it. We will start with our presentations from three internationally established researchers representing a diverse range of disciplines. Afterwards, we will have some time for your individual questions to the speakers. It is now my great pleasure to introduce our first speaker, Dr. Ana Alonso Serrano, originally from Spain, today conducting research at the Humboldt University of Berlin. Ana, the stage is yours.
Hi, thanks a lot for the opportunity, and I hope you have a lot of questions now or in the future. So, as they said, my home country is Spain, where I did my PhD, and after that, I started my going around the world. So I was in New Zealand, then I was in Prague, and finally I landed in Germany. As you can see in the photo, I work mainly with a blackboard, not in a lab. So I'm a theoretical physicist. And now I'm a postdoc in the beautiful city of Berlin that you can see there in the photo. I'm here for 6 years. And no, the first photo, the first slide, please. Yeah, thanks. I let you know when to change. So when I arrived here, I really changed the stereotype that I had before about Germany, about my life here. So I'm happily having new hobbies and new experiences in nature there and in the city that I was not aware of Germany. So this is one of the things I think it really blew up my mind, that I had an idea of what would be my life in Germany or what is the country and the city, and I really experienced something different. So I think it's better to not come with a lot of stereotypes and let the place free for discovering. So in this year, I'll now go to the next slide, thanks. I have been in 2 research institutions. In the first one, 4 years, I think. Yes, in the first 4 years, I was in Max Planck Institute. First 2 years, thanks the Alexander von Humboldt Foundation, that I got a fellowship from them, and it was like a very great opportunity because they also give you introduction to German courses, to get to know more the culture, the cities, the places. And after that, I stayed in the Max Planck Institute with another postdoc contract by an ERC grant. And in the last year, I got a DEFG grant that it's also given by the Germany, by the government, to go to Humboldt University, as you see in the second picture. And now I'm here, like developing on my own project. And also they gave to me some opportunities to go to conferences like the Lindau conference of the Nobel laureate meeting. And so I'm really grateful for how well all the grants work in Germany. So if you can go to the next one. So it's not only in Germany about the pure academic career. You can develop your research in an outreach form. So here I wanted to share with you in the first 2 photos my team of Soapbox Science Berlin, that we are a team promoting outreach activities, mostly to visualize women in science, and to give public outreach talks for general audience, as you can see in the photo in the middle. So we go to the square of Berlin and then let science approachable for everyone. And this was a very nice interaction with people in the city. And in the second one, it's another project that we are developing thanks to the Lindau Foundation and Max Planck Institute, that is Authenticide, that is to check fake news or misinformation in science communication. And this was also an opportunity that they gave me here and that complement my research. So now you can go to the last slide. So first of all, what's my research? My research is mainly focused in the interface of 2 worlds. One is the gravity, how gravity works, which are what is the theory of gravity, that in this case right now our paradigm is general relativity, and how quantum physics can be reconciled with this gravity theory. So I work mostly in the interface and trying to see how they can communicate these 2 theories. But as I said, I'm also very involved in science communication, and I think that's something that is quite active in Germany. I think there are a lot of things going on. So why Germany? On my side, it was a way to come to a place where I have a very great opportunity because of the experts on my field, but also allowed me to have a balance with my personal life that I also think it's something that we need to value, and it's more important than what we think when we start our career. Also what I wanted to say is, like, when I moved here, I think that most of us come with the idea like just to work. That is something that for sure we have to do. But I recommend to everyone coming to Germany to really give a try to learn German, at least the basic ones. I mean, I know that it's a very hard language for most of us, but I think it's kind of relevant to do it, to have more opportunities, to have more interaction with the city, because although everything works in English in the labs or in the department, also in the moment that you need bureaucracy or deal with the department for travels or some secretaries, you need to have a basic knowledge of German, or it helps you a lot. You don't need, but it really helps you. And the other thing I wanted to say about the tips, I think is do the things even that the place is offering to you, even if you don't see a immediate reward for it. I mean, in my experience in Berlin has been that it's always full of visitors, international visitors, seminars, workshops. And sometimes it's like, I'm not gonna go because I have no time. And I really think you are going to learn a lot, take a lot, and not immediately, but in the future, it will show up in some moment as a skill that you have, and or a contact you had, or an idea for your research. Because this is something I also had experience here, at least in my area or in my field or in the places I've been, is that you have a lot of possibilities to do what you want, to explore different collaboration, different interdisciplinary works, and I think it's good to take it and try to be as original and as original and as honest with what you want as you can, and not only follow the main research in your place, in your department or in your group. And I think that's all. I think I made it in 15 minutes, so thanks a lot.
Thank you for that engaging presentation, Anna. We really appreciate your expertise and the valuable information you just shared with us. Our next presentation will be from Dr. Milind Brahme. He's back in India, but his connection to Germany is still very strong, as you will hear yourself just now.
Hello everyone, thank you Clarissa and thank you Inji for putting together this event. My name is Milind Brahme. I'm from India, and I am a student of Germanistic. I'm a student of German studies. If you see the background that I've selected for today's presentation, I'm just coming out of another presentation, another very interesting conversation on the German writer Franz Kafka. And today happens to be Franz Kafka's 141st birthday, I think. And this also happens to be the centenary year of Franz Kafka. And we had a wonderful discussion with the virtual discussion organized by the Goethe Institute, which apart from the DAAD has also played a very important role in my professional life. And we had a discussion about reading Kafka in today's world, and so this background might remind people who have read Kafka's work about some of the labyrinthine descriptions in Kafka's novels and stories. So very briefly, as I said, I'm from India. I come from the western Indian state of Maharashtra, with Bombay or Mumbai as its capital. And I'm from a city called Pune, which is about 200 kilometers from Mumbai. And Pune, interestingly, happens to be the place where German studies in India began, Germanistic in India began in the city that I come from. And it is perhaps not a coincidence that I chose to learn German language in school first of all, and then to study Germanistic in my college and university. Yeah, we can go to the next slide, I think. So Germany, why Germany as a destination? We heard Anna talk about that, but for me it was, that's not a question at all. So I've done my master's and my MPhil and PhD in German from the Center of German Studies in Delhi at the Jawaharlal Nehru University, and my daily activity consists of teaching German language and literature here. Currently, I'm for the last 20 years plus I'm in the South Indian city of Chennai on the eastern coast of India, southeastern coast of India. And I'm at a technical university called the Indian Institute of Technology, Madras, which is Chennai. And I teach German language and literature at the institute. So it's kind of a technical university in the German context. And I've also worked in the area of education. And interestingly enough, my my uh, connection with Germany and my interest in education led to a uh, very interesting um, transgression from my discipline of German studies or Germanistic into education, and also to cooperation with Germany in the area of education, about which I'll talk later. Um, my research areas are literary studies and German language and literature, of course, but also education and pedagogy. Uh, I um, I would like to recount very briefly how I made the decision to study German as my professional choice. When I was just beginning college and I had not decided what to study, at that time the Goethe Institute in Pune, where I come from, I won a prize from them. It was the year 1986. It was a long time ago, when Germany was still the FRG and the GDR. And I was sent to Germany as a 17-year-old to do a language course, to an advanced language course, because I already learned German. And the entire experience of Germany in those 2 months was so pervasive and was so deep that when I came back to college and I had to make a choice for specialization for my bachelor's at that time. I mean, I didn't even have a moment's hesitation, because my college offered German studies as a possibility to graduate in. And I mean, it was just a decision that entire experience of spending 2 months in Germany made the decision for me, actually. So that's just a small anecdote of how influential my time in Germany has been on the way my life has panned out. We could go to the next slide, please. What you see on this slide are two books. I mean, just to give you a sense of the kind of work that I've been doing. So I put the images of those two books. My Dad Connect, I was doing my PhD in 1994 at the Jawaharlal Nehru University in Delhi, as I said, and at that time it was just the beginning of the sandwich model program that the DAD had conceived at that time. And I went to the Seminar für Deutsche Philologie at the University of Göttingen, at the Georg August University of Göttingen. And I spent a year there researching on my PhD, which was a comparative study of an Indian writer and Franz Kafka. And again, that was my second visit to Germany, facilitated by the DAD this time. And it was needless to say, since I work in the area of German studies, how important and how enriching that experience was of doing research in Germany, using the libraries, and also, but apart from that, also just the entire experience of spending time in another culture and understanding another culture from the inside. I think for my professional area, that also was a very important point. After my PhD, which I completed in 1997, in 2004, 2005, I was also I went to Austria this time, because for my postdoctoral research, I was working on an Austrian, quote unquote, Austrian writer called Hermann Broch. And I was at the Alpen-Adria University in Klagenfurt in Austria for about 8 months in the year 2005. So since then, the connect with Germany has intensified in a different way, in the sense that I have anchored exchange programs with my university and with two other universities in Germany. One is the Hochschule Bremen in the German city-state of Bremen, where we had, for 10 years, we had a very, very active student and faculty exchange program and sending students to do courses to Hochschule Bremen and receiving students from them to IIT Madras, where I work. And you can go to the next slide, I think. Yeah, so that was from 2011 to 2020. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, there was a break, and then we have not yet been able to revive that cooperation since then. But 2014 to 19, again, my interest in education and my connect with Germany through the DAAD, but also otherwise professionally, led to very, very fruitful cooperation with the Institute for Sonderpädagogik, Special Pedagogical Institute of the University of Würzburg. This time, the lovely city of Würzburg, which you see in the picture at the bottom on the right. And this cooperation was funded also by the DAAD under its New Passage to India program, and it was coming together of a very different kind, because we were basically talking about in this research pedagogical initiatives that were being researched in Germany and practiced in India, and research and pedagogical initiatives that began in India and then were being researched and implemented in German universities, schools, etc. So the word MGML that you see in that slide stands for multi-grade, multi-level pedagogies, and one of the highlights of this cooperation was in 2016 when we, together with Würzburg and with the support of the DAAD, but also of the UNICEF, we organized the first MGML World Conference here in Chennai, and also led to the publication of one of the books that you saw in the first slide on education in India and inclusion. So it is, I think, one of the things that I have noticed, and I think which Anna also referred to very briefly, was the possibility of interdisciplinarity. I would even say transdisciplinarity now, not only inter, but it is possible to even transcend your own discipline and then work with other colleagues from other disciplines. And there is an openness to the academia in Germany. I mean, I've worked now with at least 3 institutions very closely. One is the Uni Göttingen, where I did my own research. The other is Hochschule Bremen, where I anchored a student and faculty exchange program. And currently, Uni Würzburg. Again, we also have an Erasmus Plus funded research cooperation now going on with them. I think one of the features of this entire interaction has been the openness in the academia to transcend boundaries and to welcome ideas. I think one of the things about there it is, the land of ideas. Okay, so it is something that I have been able to do even as somebody whose home discipline is German literature and language, but I've been able to make these bonds with people from other disciplines. I mean, the cooperation with Bremen actually was in the area of development studies and sustainability, and it is very encouraging, and it is very heartening to see how this openness leads to very fruitful relationships, which I mean, I could even call them friendships now. That is one of the features of my experience in academic cooperation with Germany. Go to the next slide. Yeah, the couple of tips. I think I'm repeating what Anna has said. Learn German. You might not need it at the place of research or work or whatever, but knowing another language, I always feel it's like knowing another world, because when you approach a world through when you approach a culture through its own language, then it's a totally different experience as against if you study or learn about a culture through your own language. So learning German in that sense will open up Germany for anybody who wants to spend time there studying, researching, etc. Then the other thing I would say is that this is from own personal experience that in the humanities and social sciences, in literature and things like that, the goals of research are not very exactly defined. You know, the goals of research activity can vary and can be very nebulous, can be very ambiguous at the beginning. So it helps to have a written work plan and to get back orientation to your own work because there are so many ideas floating around there, and you could easily get you could easily drift into other interests. But having a work plan helps to get your orientation back. And one thing I have learned also from experience is do not hesitate to accept help if somebody is offering help. It happened in my case where I was a little hesitant about accepting help, but I think the willingness to accept and then in return offer help academically also, apart from otherwise, is very important. And be yourself, but be polite, helpful, and treat yourself and others with dignity. I'm sorry about the last part, sounds like a bit of a preaching, but treating others with dignity is a very important point, I feel. And with that, I'll finish my presentation, and thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Milind. I think we all learned a lot and gained many helpful tips from you as a German expert, so to say. Now let's hear from our final speaker, Dr. Ishanka Chathurani from Sri Lanka. She will take us on her PhD journey, which she completed during her stay in Germany.
Yeah, thank you, Clarissa, and also all the participants. Good morning, good afternoon, maybe the good evening. Yeah, my name is Ishanka Karunarathne, currently working as a senior lecturer attached to the Department of Human Resource Management, University of Kelaniya, Sri Lanka, and also currently working as a research ambassador for DAD South Asia as well. So I did my PhD in Göttingen University, Germany, 2018, and last year also again visited the same university under DAD fellowship program. With that, I will quickly move to the sharing my experience. Carissa, please. Yeah. So I want to discuss my experience under three categories or three stages, like how did I start my journey and how did I end my journey. So preparatory stage and also like a sum of experience during my stay in Germany as a postdoc as well as a PhD candidate. And then I want to discuss what are the options that are available for the next level. So as a first stage, go to next one, Clarissa, please. Yeah, and the preparatory stage of how did I start my journey? Of course, actually, so just after completing my master's, I was looking for some PhD opportunities. I had some opportunities. I'm thinking whether should I go to Australia, New Zealand, or Monash, Malaysia. Meanwhile, I got to know that actually so DAD scholarships also there. So then I decided to go to Germany and started the journey doing the IELTS examination. I think in Germany, study language in most of the PhD programs, that is English. So therefore, I think it's worth of actually starting the journey by doing IELTS or similar English professional examinations. And also some tips for writing the research proposal, because you need to have a sound research proposal if you want to apply for the DAD funding as well as for the university. So therefore I got the support from some of senior colleagues as well as attended some workshops organized by some universities as well as by the DAD to develop my research proposal. So then the challenge was how to choose a university, because in Germany, there are different types of universities. So the university in terms of some of the, I think you can find a good university based on QS university ranking or German university ranking, CHE, that is a German university ranking. At the same time, I want to mention that some of the universities, they are not the competitively engaged with this a university ranking process. So therefore, I would say all the universities Germany are high quality universities. Clarissa, next one, please. Now, this is the universities and the Germany, basically they have state universities and also some universities of applied sciences. Basically, they are doing some practical or practice-oriented research. In addition to that, if you are in the field of art and music or whatever other field, you have the opportunity of getting the opportunity in the College of Art. So there are 3 options. You can, if you want to do your doctoral degree, I would highly recommend to enroll with the state university rather than going for applied universities. That's mean I'm not discouraging, but it's better actually. So if we can enroll with the state university. Next one, please. Yeah, then I think some tips for like finding the potential supervisor. So I think for me, I didn't have any experience of how to find a supervisor in Germany. So what I did actually, so I wrote like a couple of supervisors or the potential supervisors, went through their profiles and research on it. So then I got to know that actually, so some of the professors, they are in the field of mine. So likewise, actually, so when you're writing to the supervisor, what you want to keep in your mind, so you have to attach a detailed proposal, but it's not actually very lengthy proposal. I think maximum 10 pages would be enough. And then your CV. So then other, like if you have a couple of publications, you can add them as well. And like when you're writing to the supervisor, what did I learn in Germany? Germany, nothing is like urgent. So therefore, you have to be like everything, you have to be prepared everything in advance. So therefore, I would recommend you have to write your supervisor at least 6 months prior to the deadline. So otherwise, actually, so you might be in the trouble. And also like don't send too many emails, because if you think like they are not like acknowledging, I received your email, I will get to back you. Likewise, they are not like acknowledging. They received the email. Otherwise, you can know that actually, so they are bumping back to you. So therefore, I think within few seconds or within 1 day or within 1 week, maybe don't expect the reply from them. They will take time and they will contact in your due course if they want to take you. And also like finding opportunities. So I think that was like a biggest challenge for many international students. So I think better to like check with the DAD website. They have like a 200 plus scholarship opportunities. And if you need any clarification, of course, actually, so they will provide the support. If not, there are some regional DAD office also. You can contact them for more information or the clarifications. So once you get everything, so then you have to enroll with the university. So then you have to pay the semester fee. It has a lot of advantages. If you pay the semester fee, for an example, you can use a public transport freely and also get some discount at the Mensa. There are a lot of advantages of paying the tuition, semester fee. But in Germany, education is free. And also like it's better to actually so keep contact with the international student house or the office of the particular university. They will definitely support you with like enrollment and find an accommodation and maybe sometimes visa. Yeah, over to next, Clarissa. So then like I want to share some experiences like during my stay in Germany, because previous things like before I start. Yeah. In the next slide, Clarissa. Yeah, I want to discuss these things under 2 categories. First one like related to academic, and otherwise other thing is like a general information. Related to these academic things, like the first thing, important thing for me, like discussing your expectations at the beginning with your supervisor. For an example, in my case, because I had the obligation to come back to my home country because I was on study leave. At the beginning, I said like I'm on a study leave for 4 years. So then I have to go back to my home country and resume duties in the same position. So therefore, I communicated and I discussed these things. At the same time, my professor explained me that what is his expectations as a PhD student from my end, do a couple of publications or the high quality publications. Likewise, at the beginning, I mean, the first couple of meetings, we clarify everything. So I make the plan and then I work on the plan. I was able to like finish my PhD within 3.5 years or something. And then like if you're do your PhD in Germany, there are 2 options. One thing like a publication based PhD, other one is traditional or the typical monography based PhD. So you can choose like based on the supervisor's interest and also like requirements of the university. You can either do the publication based PhD or the traditional one. If you do the publication based PhD, I did that one. So you need to have a couple of publications. So the requirement of publication, where do you have to publish and what kind of publication, that's depend on your supervisor's requirement and the university requirement. So then I think at the first meeting, you can discuss these things and clarify rather waiting to the end, because otherwise at the end you will be in a trouble. So if you don't have enough publications for completing your PhD. And also the number of publications required for a particular degree program, that is depend on the chair or the supervisor. I think it would be great actually, so you can discuss these things at the beginning of with your supervisor. And I think Anna also discussed about like something related to the attending conferences. Of course, actually, so if you're in Germany, you can get the financial support for attending conferences. Sometimes your supervisor, if you are lucky, you will get some funding from your supervisor, I mean the chair. Or if not, actually, so sometimes you might get some funding from the international student house or the international student of the particular university. And also like sometimes DAD also funding for the attending conferences. So therefore, there are a lot of funding opportunities. I will encourage if you are in the Germany, definitely you can attend conferences and maybe in the Germany or some other countries as well. So related to the general life in Germany, I think once you like get over there, the important thing is the city registration. You have to, registered with the city. So I think that is mandatory for everyone if you want to be in Germany. So then like adjusting to the Germany or the culture and the living, that is also important because for me actually, so there is no good or bad cultures, or the cultures are good. So therefore you need to have the culture, the global mindset and the cultural agility. So if you want to like live in a different country, so therefore you have a lot of things to do in Germany. So take everything in a positive way, learn the culture, and you have to be open-minded. So then you can easily adjust to the German culture as well. That was my experience. And like if you want to do a part-time job, of course, actually, so you can do it. That is optional. So you can find part-time job in the universities or maybe like some other external parties. Of course, actually, so you can get the support for that as well. So once you are in the Germany. And German language course, I think the presenters, they mentioned that the importance of the German language. I think if you are going to Germany with the DAD scholarship, that is mandatory. So apart from this mandatory German language course, what you can do, you can register, in the universities, because in German education is free. You can choose language courses and follow them for your, the improving your language proficiency, German language proficiency. That is essential because even though your study language is in English, but if you want to live in a separate country, so if the English is not the native language in that particular country, definitely you should learn the native language. So therefore, you can do it as well. Another important thing, if you're in Germany, travel. I think you can travel around all the Schengen countries without visa requirement. That is also kind of other advantage for me, actually. So it was a great advantage of visiting other countries, especially in Europe. Yeah, and Clarissa, go to next one, please. And the third stage, I want to discuss like what are the availabilities. So at the end of your journey in Germany or after you are completing your higher studies, there are three options. Of course, actually, so you can either repatriate. That's when actually, so you can come back to your home country. That's what I did. That doesn't mean that actually, so your relationship with Germany is end. So if we become a part of the Germany, that means actually, so that is a long-term relationship. So I think I don't actually know whether it's right or wrong, because usually like our doctoral supervisor, sometimes we call as Dr. Father or Dr. Mutter. That's mean doctoral father or doctoral mother. So it's a kind of like a mother-father relationship. So therefore the relationship won't be never ended. So therefore, like even though actually, so you come back to your home country, still you can keep contacts with them in terms of research and also resource exchange. In addition to that, like there are some options, like if you have any interest of like doing your postdoctoral degrees, or maybe like join as a associate or young professor in a German university, there are opportunities as well. For the postdoctoral and fellowship, there are a lot of like funding opportunities. So you can see here, and I also mentioned a couple of the opportunities. And there are some funding agencies like JD, COVI, FHG, WGL, DFG, AVH, MPG. There are some examples for funding agencies. Definitely, you can get in touch with them and also like getting the funding. An important thing that I want to mention here, so if you want to like continue your postdoctoral degree or the fellowship in Germany, it's better to discuss with your current supervisor in advance, because sometimes you might be in trouble because you are still like working on some research papers. So there are some data. So therefore, you want to clarify these things before you leave the current supervisor. So that is also important thing. Otherwise, like you might be facing some difficulties how to continue your some of the work with the current supervisor. And also third option that is moving to the third country, maybe like a Europe or any other part of the world. because I would say like German qualifications or the education qualification is recognized all around the world. So therefore, without any like a challenge, you can easily find a job opportunity or maybe like a postdoctoral opportunity all around the world. So therefore, you don't need to be, keep any doubt about your future. Future is certain if you do your PhDs or higher studies in Germany. That's what my experience. So one last slide from my end. Yes, what do I most like about Germany? Of course, actually, so in terms of education, the quality of education and also the academic freedom. So these two are mainly like convince me, impress me. Of course, actually, so I like very much them. In addition to that, like a general life in Germany, like Christmas market, German food, soccer or the football. In addition to that, bicycle culture, I think, and I also mentioned that actually, so environment and the culture and also the climate of Germany. So, and also in addition to that, some entertainment. Of course, actually, so there are a lot of opportunities. If you, I think there are a lot of opportunities, and you can enjoy over there. Maybe go to the theater or some other festivals. There are a lot. So therefore, you can enjoy your life as well. So one thing like I miss here, so that's a picture that I'm in. So that is a PhD graduation in Germany. So it's like a different from other countries, I would say. In my university, there is a landmark in the Göttingen. So that is a landmark, Goose Girl. So once you completed our the doctoral defense, so we will be bringing to this like a city center, and then we have to kiss this Goose Girl. So that is our official graduation. So that is also somewhat different in Germany. I think I cannot see them in other countries. That is also interesting for me. That also I like very much. So I think that's all from my end. I think we have some time. Maybe we can quickly move to the Q&A. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ishanka. That was very insightful for everyone, I think. I believe some of our audience's questions may have already been answered, but let's now address some of the most frequently asked questions that are still open. And I would kindly ask our speakers to switch on their cameras, but I think, yeah, everyone did it already. And yeah, Angie, would you like to start with the first question?
Yes, well, of course, it's really great to see how diverse every one of you is. Everyone has their own experiences, their own, yes, experiences is the perfect word. I don't need to find another one, and it's very diverse and very different from one another. So we are just going to get into some questions that are frequently asked that many people have received from your question, and I think the first one. Let's start with you, Anna. Because you mentioned receiving multiple grants, and I think one of the main questions for most of the audience is what were the challenges? How did the procedure go? I think someone specifically asked how long did it take until you got your reply? These are all very interesting insights that you might share with us. Like you can choose, of course, Alexander von Humboldt is one of the most prestigious scholarships fellowships one can get. So maybe you can shed some light on it.
Yeah, sure. So I start with Alexander von Humboldt, as you said. I think the chances are quite high. I don't know exactly what is the percentage right now, but I think it's quite interesting. And also they have several programs. So they have a particular general, they have a general program, and they have programs depending on the country as well. So you can, if you are from a country with a particular fellowship, you can apply to the general one and to the one specific for your region or country or whatever. And so the Alexander von Humboldt, it's continuously open, so it's not a specific call. They have meetings 3 times per year, so you have to submit your proposal, and they send it to referees, and then when they get the reports, they discuss it in one of the meetings. So you have 3 chances per year. And I would say that one of the most important things in general in the German grants that it's something that I really like it in all of them, in the DFG and Alexander von Humboldt, is that they really value the project more than your CV and the chances that you had. And I think that's very important because maybe you are from a university or a country that you had not the chance to do a great CV, or because of your group. It doesn't matter, because if you have a good idea and a good project, you have high chances. And I think that's a very good point of all the grants here. The problem is that they take a lot of time to decide. So spent 9 months.
Wow.
And yeah, and at least my experience also with DevGe, now changing to the other. I mean, Alexander von Humboldt is very prestigious, and they give you a lot of opportunities also to integrate in the culture that the three of us said that is very important for your future, and they really promote it, and they give you a lot of events and summer trip and visits. So that's nice. And the good point with DevGe is that they have a very open program, so you can apply in completely different formats, like for your own money, for joining a group, for doing a net of collaborators. So it's you can really design the grant in the more appropriate way for you. And also you can resubmit after the feedback. So, and if you didn't pass the limit of years, in the case of some of them that they have a limit of years. So then you apply, and if you are not successful, you get the feedback from the referees, and then you can submit it again. You have less chances if you resubmit than if you are in the first one, I think. I'm not very sure of that, but I think they really value your first one. I don't know, because I got it in the first one. And yeah, I think this is more or less. I don't know if I missed something about the grants that, or the questions that.
Yes. No, I think it's a very important point. Quality is number one. To give your all, make it as perfect as possible. Maybe let someone take another look to make sure that there are no mistakes, all these simple
Yeah,
things,
completely.
right? Yes. And Alexander von Humboldt indeed has it always open that everyone needs to check the requirements, because every scholarship and every grant has its own requirements, and to make sure that you stick to the time, and to make it as perfect as possible.
Yeah, now that you mentioned, one quick thing is like, as you said, like always ask for a colleague or your mentor or whoever to give it a read. And also, like, I think one advice is not to write the project as a continuation of a previous project. Write something new and original, because I think they really give a value on that.
Make it unique. I think that was also one of Ishanka's main points, that to make the email or the question as unique, as clear as possible, so that yes, professors reply if we're talking about PhD, for instance. Very nice. I don't know, because of the time, Clarissa, should we move to Milan, or what would you say?
Yeah, maybe we move to Milind. We have a few questions for you as well. So maybe I will just start with one question to you, Milind. So one question was, how did you put together your work plan? Because I can imagine many would appreciate the advice.
Yeah, okay. Actually, this is something that I did not do, and I discovered that I should have done. I did it towards the end, of course.
Okay.
The two things that I talked about were things that I learned while I was there. One thing is that, I mean, I had already done 2 years of my PhD when I went to Göttingen, and it was nice. Ishanka, thank you for the picture of Genseliesel, the goose girl from Göttingen. It was nice to see her. That is also my alma mater in Germany. So one thing that I'd done 2 years of my PhD in India, and then I went to Göttingen, and I had this thing that, okay, now I have a fair grasp of my topic. I can simply sit and write. I'm okay. But then I realized that I should have made a maybe monthly plan. You know, that every month I'll have this, and this done, which towards the end I did. That was one point. And secondly, about accepting help, I think Anna also mentioned that get other people to read your proposals, etc. I was a little hesitant when a very close friend, who's now a very close friend of mine, is German, when he offered to read one of my chapters, and I was a little hesitant as to why he wants to read my chapter, you know. So then actually my Indian supervisor at that time he said, if you are getting, somebody is offering you help like this, you should look at it positively. And so these two things are my learning experience while I was in Göttingen in Germany. And I would say in the area of social sciences and humanities, as I said, it is very easy to get lost in different ideas as you're reading philosophy, you're reading literature, all sorts of things. So that's why if you have, let's say, a monthly plan that, my topic is this and this is what I'm going to do minimum this month, I should have done this. I think that helps in orientation. And as I said, I came to that towards the end of my stay. If I had done that from the beginning, maybe I would have profited a little more.
I think everyone can appreciate this
you.
kind of tip because it often happens. It's like, "Ah, I should have known that, or it's a pity." And I think this is like one of the main reasons why we're here today, in order to get these insider infos and the things that one would have wished to have had before they started their journey in Germany. Yes, that's definitely great advice. Thank you, Milind.
Definitely. Thank you, Milind. Maybe we continue with Ishanka so that we also have another question for her. Would you like
Yes.
to move on, Inji?
Yes, I can. I would like to do so, especially because you talked about supervisors, and I'm sure so many have questions regarding how to find a supervisor. This is one of the main challenges. So maybe just a random question: how many supervisors did you contact? Do you remember approximately?
Yeah, of course, actually. So I think it was in 2014, still I can remember. But when I applied for the Germany, of course, actually, so I got another two opportunities in Queensland University in Australia and also Monash in Malaysia. So I had supervisors, fortunately, in these universities. But of course, actually, so I had eager to, go to Germany. So then what I did, of course, actually, so then I went through the top ranked universities in Germany based on the QS university ranking, because during that time I didn't have any idea about German university ranking. So then I chose like a couple of good universities, and also what I did, of course, I went through the profiles of the chair professors. So related to my field, because my field mainly the business management. And then I went to the Faculty of Economics and Law, then find some chair professors related to my area. Then I went through their profiles, of course. I researched on their profiles, and I went through their ongoing research projects. Because if you go to the website of the particular professor or the chair professor, you can find what are the ongoing research projects. And also like recent publications, of course. Aligned with that, I don't actually, so whether it's like good to say, aligned with that, the change my research proposal sidely that I want to do in the Australia or the Malaysia. So therefore, what I did, of course, actually, so with that trick, of course, actually, so that was work with me. And also like the first time my supervisor didn't reply me. So then what I did, of course, actually, so I think I wanted to have a lady, female supervisor, but unfortunately I didn't get it. So then I wrote to the dean of the faculty of the Göttingen University, and then she recommended me, Ishanka, with your research field, this I will recommend this. You have to contact Professor Fabian Bose. He is like doing research related to your field. So then with her recommendation, again, I wrote an email to Professor Fabian. And then he apologized me. I'm sorry, Shankar, I forget it. So can we have a Skype interview tomorrow? So then it was went very quickly. And then after having like a 1.5 of interviews via Skype during that time, so then he decided to take me as a PhD or the PhD candidate. So that was my journey, of course, actually. So honestly speaking, I think I wrote more than like 27 universities to find a supervisor. Some of the supervisors, of course, replied me in the positive way, and also some of didn't reply until now. So maybe I think that's a German way. That doesn't mean that, of course, actually, so they hate us or they don't like us. But the thing is actually, so during that time, they don't have any opportunities to take another PhD candidate, or maybe some funding problems. So I think that's why they are not replying you. Otherwise, there is no personal issue with you. Don't take it personally, because you can give one more try. And also maybe it's better to attend some research conferences, I would say. So then you can meet some potential supervisors as well. That is also like a good trick, because definitely, some German professors, I would say definitely they will attend some research conferences as well. So if not actually, so third one, yeah, you can, come with some referrals.
Yes, no, I think this is definitely great information, because I think many people get very fastly devastated, and because no one is replying. But you have to imagine how many people all over the world are contacting this professor in order to make sure to get a spot or maybe a reminder. So here, this is a very important. Thank you for all the tips, Ishanka. I think you also got very lucky with this kind of connection, but I believe it's because maybe your email was well formulated, it was unique, you took the time, used the right addressing, dear Professor Doctor. There are like so many small things that someone may forget, or use the first name. Here in Germany, it's people can get a little bit upset for small things. So advice would be definitely letting someone else kind of take a look at your email, check the proposal, make it as unique and as simple as possible. Then you can avoid any misunderstandings. Precisely. I'm trying to we have so many questions. Like maybe the general questions that are here, we can answer them later also in the chat, because there are some which are directed specifically for the speakers, and some that we can do in the background. Maybe just an info: we have our Research in Germany homepage, where you can find all details for doing your PhD, all details of doing your postdocs. So use these information. And yes, just like here, a heads up in case we don't get to answer all the questions. But
There were
maybe
also
Clarissa,
many
did you
questions. Yeah,
Mm,
sorry. There were also many questions regarding visa and funding on all those sorts of things. We have plenty of information on our homepage. We will share our homepage in just a minute as well, so you can scan a QR code with all the information.
yes, maybe let's scroll. Did you notice one which is a little bit general that we can ask here? Because I think they're all very specific, or mhm.
I think Ishanka also already replied to a couple of them.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So if we have the time, people can, I think that, yeah, some are writing in the chat. We're not really looking in the chat. Please write them in the Q&A box, because it's easier to track and see. Again, visa, I think this really differs from one embassy to another. Some are very quick, some are a little bit slower. Maybe if you'd like, maybe for Anna that was not necessarily an issue, but maybe Milind and Ishanka, how was it in India and Sri Lanka?
Sorry, come again.
Regarding visa, how long did it take, or how was it challenging? Was it easy? Maybe you can give us insights.
No, I mean, see, the thing is with a DAD scholarship. I mean, if you're doing a research in Germany, just give me a moment. Just give me a moment. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. So if you're applying for a visa with a DAD grant or any other German grant, and if you have Zusage, as they say, if you have acceptance from a German university or German professor, then the visa is not an issue at all. My visa happened 30 years ago. I think you should not consider that as any guideline.
That's
My long-term visa, the
understandable.
first time I got it, happened in 1994. That is not a guideline anymore. Okay, so I think Ishanka might be a better person to answer this right now.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I would say as Milind very correctly said, if you have the daily scholarship, it doesn't take the more than one month to proceed the visa. So they will quickly do it with the recommendation, because it will be done by the embassy. You don't need to go to VFS or any other authorities. You can directly contact the embassy and you can do it. But I think most of the time, what do I think? I'm not certain about that. But I think why visa got rejected. If you have to, you have to clearly read the guidelines and prepare the documents accordingly. I think, and also you don't need to do everything hurry. I think Germany, the time is important if you're in Germany. So everything should be in advance. So nothing urgent in Germany. So therefore, most of the time, when we are applying, as per my experience in country like us, of course, actually, so people wait till the last minute. And if they need visa in next month, so they will start the process now, and they want to like next day they want to get the visa. I think that's why what they are expecting. So I think we want to change that mentality, because we are in two different cultures. We need to understand the culture, and we want to prepare all the documents very neatly, because in Germany documents are very much important. So that is also that's what my professor said. And also like timing is also important. I think if you have like a clearly set of documents, and also like if you like clearly read the guidelines, I think it won't be a challenge. If you have the like funding, they don't have like any funding problem, or maybe like a matriculation in the university, definitely they will process your visa. I think Germany, they don't need to stop you.
Thank you, Ishanka. I think that was very important and accurate, because those two keywords, need and time, are very important when it comes to visa regulations and regulations in Germany in general. So thank you. Yeah, I think unfortunately, due to time constraints, we have to conclude here. I will jump right back into our PowerPoint. Yeah, just a minute.
Yes,
Yeah.
we can see it.
There are still open questions, but don't worry, there will be more events like this in the future. Until then, there are other sources of information, like we mentioned. First, we have a Research in Germany homepage, and you can also subscribe to our newsletter, which is every month focuses specifically on postdocs this month. And of course, we have our social media channels. And here you can find the according QR codes for easy access. And before we conclude, we would like to ask you to take a moment to fill out our survey so we can incorporate your feedback into the future events, as Indy mentioned earlier on. Before we start with the survey, we would like to thank everyone for joining us today. A special thank you to our speakers for their inspiring and insightful presentations. Your expertise and perspectives have made this event truly valuable. And of course, to our audience, we appreciate your active participation, your many questions, and your engagement is what makes these events so impactful. Indy, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, also thank you very much, everyone from my side, and I'm looking forward to the next event. If you're quick and you stay for the survey, maybe I'll be able, and Clarissa and I in the background, also answer a couple of the questions that are still there. So you can stay with us, but maybe before we get to the questions and answers, we really appreciate if you give us your feedback, and maybe Clarissa, you can start sharing, yeah, you can share your screen here, please. There are the QR code. I think we can copy it in the link in the chat as well, the link. That would be great. And we kindly ask you to just give your voice, share your voice, and we will watch it live as you tell us how you found today's event. And here we can see it. Thank you, Clarissa. Maybe we can copy the link again in the chat in case someone was a little bit slow.
I will do that right away.
That would be perfect. And you can just also write mentimeter.org, if I'm not mistaken, and enter the code that you can see here on the top of the page. And that will be perfect. And again, we will get to some of the questions now. But of course, if the presenters we planned for 1 hour, we were not sure how many questions will come, and we were a little bit surprised or happy, of course, of all of your questions, and we will get to that right away. And again, the speakers, if you'd like to stay with us, you can more gladly to stay. If you have other commitments, we totally understand, but we can go through the questions in a couple of moments.
I'll take leave, Inji and Clarissa. And
Thank you very much.
Ishanka, very nice to get to know you. And I'll take leave now. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Bye-bye.
Thank
Thank you very
you.
much.
Thank you, Milind.
Yes, we have again here the link in the chat. Please feel free to add your feedback, and there are other questions. You will notice that, but you can do that later. We will send the link again via mail, and again, we would appreciate your replies and feedbacks. So yes, and here is the code again if you're just went to menti.com and you can write the code inside. Yes, just leave it for a couple of moments and then we can for sure get back to the questions that are in the Q&A box and just go through the general ones. We can also, of course, share links that could be important for you. So I'm just going to scroll. Clarissa, if it's okay, we do a little bit of counseling here anyways in our house. Okay, what are the different research positions and difference between them among research associate, research engineer, PhD? Okay, so maybe just some simple information. What are the different research positions? You can, depending on your degree, if you are looking for a PhD in Germany, you can either do it as individual PhD, but where you need to write a proposal, prepare a proposal, and then go forward with the with finding a supervisor who would be specifically there to support you. Or there's another option that you become a research assistant, where you apply for an open position that is literally there, and but it's again, it's a little bit different. And during these positions, you have the opportunity to you have the opportunity to yes, you'll be earning money when you're an individual PhD or in a structured one, you're not. So this is very briefly how it could look like. And for every researcher, and that goes for any discipline. It does not necessarily has to do with engineers. So it can be through a university, it can be through a research institute. There are multiple options. But again, depending on if it's a PhD or a postdoc, we will share here. You can see our website. We have categorized it to each target group, to each category, and please feel free to just enter and see what fits best to your requirements. As an EU citizen and enrolled in German university, can I take any job, or are there regulations? Okay, this is a very good question. If you are enrolled at the university usually if you're a EU citizen, in this case, you're being treated as same as everyone here in Germany. I can maybe take a closer look. I know it for sure for people or persons without an EU citizenship. You have to follow specific rules, like not working more than 20 hours. But of course, if it's a working position, it's again a different story. So it really depends on what you're doing. So I think here it's always best to check. There are very interesting links like Make It in Germany, where they speak about having the regulations for working in Germany if you're a scholar or if you're not. And this is the link. I will share it immediately.
There is another
yes,
question. Share with us the links of available scholarships, internships, and jobs in Germany. We will. I mean, if you're able to scan the QR code of our website, you will find all the necessary information you're asking for here. So I'm really asking you to scan the QR codes. And we will also provide you with the links of other important websites Ingi just mentioned, so that you are well informed about those regulation questions.
Exactly, because there's so many sources. We try at our homepage to collect as much as we can, and which we've established already. We have, for instance, right on our main page, the PhD database, where you can find PhD positions and open positions all over Germany. And this is something very unique and very helpful. And you can, of course, maybe like start there. If you're looking for such a position. Okay. Let me scroll through. Did you see another
yeah,
question?
there are a few very specific questions coming from specific disciplines, and a few frustrated applications, which didn't get any replies. But I think this is a procedure so many people are going through who are applying. I think endurance and patience is needed here. And I think the words Ishanka used, to be neat and yeah, really patient, are very important in that case. And how you address the professor, all those sorts
Yes.
of things are very important.
For sure. I would also definitely advise to let someone else take a look at the email. Maybe if there's something not necessarily correct, and I believe it. This happens to every one of us. You read your email, you don't see the mistakes, and you need like an extra pair of eyes that gives you a feedback. Maybe like some tips on how to contact the supervisor. I think Ishanka gave a great overview. But again, you have to know your research field. You have to have done your research, know exactly where you're headed and where you want to go. Next step would be definitely finding the right supervisor. This is very important because if they read your proposal and it's very far away from what they're doing, then they will just ignore it. Sorry, like it's unfortunately as hard as that sounds. So please try to find the right supervisors. You're all, or most of you, are researchers already, and you've read research papers. See the names that pop frequently during your research and address them, because then you have to show them the added value. What kind of a plus would you add to their work and to their experience, and share that? Like, I read that you're researching and so, and I am focusing now on this and that, so maybe I can add my expertise to your team. If you put it like that, I think you definitely have good chances. We cannot promise anything, but at least it's definitely a plus. Also, try not to, if you put a CV, do not make it too long, just the essentials and the proposal. You can also make it short and sweet. 3 pages perhaps also can be sufficient, and say, if you like a detailed overview, I can of course send that to you. And again, do not be surprised if the answers or reply take a little bit of time. This is very normal. So give it time, and the professors will answer. And maybe if within 2 weeks there are no replies, maybe you can add a reminder. But if even after the second reminder nothing comes, then I would advise you to move to the next professor and make it as unique as possible. So we know this is a very common problem, but I think Ishanka was saying she had 20. I know people who sent 60. So it really varies a lot from one person to another. Yes. So maybe for the frustrated, stay motivated. We had now 3 amazing examples of people who did make it and came to Germany and did their research. But of course, it's a challenge, but we're sure that most of you will be able to get through. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think these were the most frequently asked questions. So I would suggest that we wrap up here, as these were all questions. We entered 2 very helpful links in the chat. So feel free to copy them or save them and look them up. This is our homepage, Research in Germany, and then Make It in Germany is also very helpful for skilled workers, as you all might be. Yeah, thank you once again for those who are still online with us. We had great pleasure with everyone of you, and thanks for participating.
Thank you very much, and see you in the next event.
Bye.
Bye.